Have you ever wondered why Abraham Lincoln, known as the Great Emancipator, issued the Emancipation Proclamation? This is a question that has sparked debate among historians and scholars alike. Some argue that Lincoln's decision was driven by a deep-seated commitment to abolitionism, a burning desire to end the blight of slavery. They suggest that the Emancipation Proclamation was the moral compass guiding the Union's course during the Civil War. On the other hand, there are those who propose a more strategic perspective. They suggest that Lincoln's primary aim was not so much the abolition of slavery, but rather the preservation of the Union. In this view, the Emancipation Proclamation was a tool of warfare, designed to weaken the Confederacy by depriving it of its labor force. So, the Emancipation Proclamation, a beacon of freedom, or a clever wartime strategy? The answer, as with many aspects of history, may lie somewhere in between. What would you do to preserve a nation on the brink of collapse? As we delve into the complexities of Lincoln's presidency, we encounter his controversial decision to suspend habeas corpus during the Civil War. This legal maneuver, which allows an individual to challenge their imprisonment in court, was put on hold. Why, you ask? Lincoln believed it was a necessary step to preserve the Union. By suspending habeas corpus, he aimed to quell the rising tide of secessionist sentiment and halt the spread of Confederate influence. Yet, his decision was not without fierce opposition. Critics argued that this move was an overreach of executive power and a blatant disregard for civil liberties. They feared that it set a dangerous precedent, one that could be exploited by future leaders with less noble intentions. The debate rages on, was suspending habeas corpus a necessary sacrifice to save the Union, or was it an abuse of power? Preserving the Union at the cost of civil liberties, a necessary sacrifice or an abuse of power? Should a leader suppress dissent and censor the press for the greater good in times of war? This question takes us back to the Civil War, to President Abraham Lincoln's presidency. Lincoln found himself grappling with this very question as he navigated the tumultuous waters of a nation at war with itself. Under his administration, civil liberties experienced a dramatic shift. Dissent was not just frowned upon, it was actively suppressed. Press, the so-called Fourth Estate, didn't escape unscathed either. Lincoln's government sanctioned the censorship of the press in an attempt to control the narrative and maintain a united front. Now, this raises a critical question. Was it a necessary evil, a means to preserve the Union, or was it an overreach, a violation of the very principles the Union stood for? The balance between maintaining order and protecting individual freedoms is a delicate one, a tightrope walk that leaders must undertake. Under the shadow of war, where does one draw the line between security and freedom? How far should a leader go to heal a nation scarred by war? This question takes us straight into the heart of Lincoln's Reconstruction Policies, aimed at restoring the Union and addressing the deep-seated racial tensions that the Civil War had brought to the fore. Lincoln's approach was to foster unity, and to this end, he proposed lenient terms for Southern states to rejoin the Union, along with extending civil rights to former slaves. But the effectiveness of these policies remains a contentious issue. Some historians argue that Lincoln's measures were too lenient and failed to fully address the enormity of the racial divide. Others, however, believe that his approach represented a pragmatic compromise, one that aimed to bind the nation's wounds without perpetuating further division. Reconstruction, a vision of unity and equality, or a flawed plan for a divided nation? The debate continues to this day. What truly defines a leader's legacy? This is a question that continues to echo through the ages, particularly when it comes to Abraham Lincoln. His impact on race relations is a topic of continuous debate, with some viewing him as a champion of equality, while others argue that his actions were more politically motivated than morally driven. Equally contentious is Lincoln's handling of Native American affairs. His presidency saw significant conflict and displacement of Native populations, a painful chapter in our nation's history that invites scrutiny of Lincoln's policies and actions. And then, there's the broader question of Lincoln's overall place in American history. Is he the great emancipator, the preserver of the Union, the pragmatic politician, or all of these combined? These interpretations and many others continue to shape our understanding of Lincoln and his legacy, revealing the complexities and contradictions inherent in any human life. Abraham Lincoln, A champion of freedom and equality, or a controversial figure with a complex legacy? You decide.